EU Act. They can make the EU Act generally focused on all the areas of AI currently. We also looked at corporate versus public rights, which I explained that many of these organizations are corporates and their primary aim is to make profits. And so we really don't have regulators in the space watching out for public rights of citizens and individuals, within the three major spaces that we're talking about, which are blockchain, crypto, and the metaverse. Then we looked at employment law. We mentioned employment law and lack of regulations as well. So we're just going to look at the blockchain slash crypto issues. The first thing with blockchain and crypto is the legality. For instance, in Nigeria, we have people say CBN has banned crypto transactions because they're primarily the most popular blockchain crypto aspects of the ecosystem. So legality is definitely a major issue, legal issue at that. And CBN has come out to say that they did not ban crypto. It was just a restriction or restricting the banks on transacting with crypto organizations or carrying out crypto transactions. So that's what it is majorly. And then we also have financial regulations, very paramount. We're seeing that a lot of organizations, corporates, regulators, and governments are looking at the anti-money laundering part and counter financing of terrorism, compliance for crypto and blockchain projects primarily. So if you have an NFT project, if you have a crypto project, an exchange, or any sort of crypto organization, AML and CFT would definitely compliance and regulations has to be tops, of the frameworks that an organization is definitely designing. We also have KYC procedures and policies which organizations need to have. That's know your customer, and also the securities law aspect of blockchain and crypto. And this is major because governments are ready and able and have oversight functions over protecting investors. Consumer protection is there. So securities laws are extremely important. And we find that the development of laws and regulation in the space is slow, but what we're doing right now is to use current traditional securities laws and regulations to guide the space. SEC in Nigeria has released the virtual service asset providers rules, which guides any organizations that has to do with virtual assets, generally. And so that rule should be a guiding framework for any organization within the blockchain and crypto space. Again, we have data protection, cybersecurity issues. Taxation is also a very important aspect. How do we tax all these transactions that are happening in the crypto space? And we heard, we see the records all the time and the data that is in billions of dollars going on right now in the ecosystem, crypto ecosystem. So we need to find a way of channeling taxation laws towards crypto. Jurisdiction is also a very important part because I mentioned this before, that because we're talking of blockchain, Web3, and the metaverse, people are conducting transactions on a daily basis globally. So it's very difficult to identify sometimes the jurisdictions that should have powers over litigation and other certain aspects, which is the reason why I mentioned previously that a lot of people are now looking at the decentralized justice space for handling of disputes, which is just like arbitration and mediation, but just in a decentralized format. And we also have some that, are called decentralized courts. So they have like a court system where primarily, like I mentioned before, is arbitration and mediation that goes on between individuals and corporate organizations for disputes. Then we also have IP regulations, of course, and other regulations dependent on the industry. So, we're talking about blockchain and crypto. So for instance, if your project is a blockchain project, say a real estate tokenization project, then we're going to be talking about, the land laws in Nigeria, land regulations in Nigeria. If it's in Lagos State, you're going to be looking at the Lagos State LIRL laws and all of that. So it depends on the area that you actually have your project in. Other laws and other regulations will come to the fore because based on the kind of project that it is, be supply chain, be shipping, maritime, be insurance. So even though it's blockchain technology that is being employed, you still need to look at the traditional regulations in that particular space. The same thing goes for NFTs, but NFTs we're looking at when we're talking about securities laws is not as strict as the blockchain crypto projects. That's mainly because some of the NFTs are more music related, are more art related. However, in Nigeria and in many regions, you do need to prove that your project is not does not involve security. So for instance, under the SEC law, you will still need to show that your project is not a security. So it's by process of elimination as opposed to just regular registrations that happen. So that will need to take place if your project is in Nigeria. But again, depending on the jurisdiction, like where is the organization registered, who are the consumers or the customers or users of the product, there are many factors, underlying factors that will determine the legal framework for each particular project. For NFTs as well, even though they're not currencies per se, they're non-fungible in nature, you will still need to employ AML compliance, CFT compliance, and KYC compliance as well, because you need to know who your customers are, just in case any transaction is flagged. The project owner or stakeholders need to be able to produce or show who the customers are, or at least provide the certain information that are necessary for due diligence on certain projects like that. Also for NFTs, we're looking at IP regulations, very, very relevant because it's more creative works that is happening in the NFT space. And then data protection, cybersecurity, taxation, jurisdiction, and all the other aspects that I mentioned. Again, other regulations dependent on the industry, because we know that NFTs are actually digital assets, and anything actually could be a digital asset. So for instance, if you're playing in the education space and you're giving out certificates as NFTs, then you need to look at the education regulations and all whatnot that surround that particular project. So it's very essential that we make this industry-based, and we also make it regulation-based as well to ensure compliance of traditional laws is very important. So our next slide, when we're talking about legal landscape adaptation, I just wanted to give an example of a very good example of what I think regulators and the legal system and judiciary and the rest need to be looking at. So we have this case of LCX AG versus John Doe, numbers 1 to 25, which is a hack of almost $8 million US, which happened in January 2022. So it's the first ever service of summons. And we see here that, hold on one second, please. Yeah, I wanted to find out what that was. Okay, so the case is LCX AG versus John Doe, numbers 1 to 25, and is a hack of almost $8 million US. And what they did was to trace these transactions to 25 different wallets. But like we say, because the wallets are pseudonymous in nature and they don't know who is behind the wallets, what the judiciary system courts did was to serve the summons as NFTs, and the NFTs were airdropped to the wallet addresses of the John Doe's numbers 1 to 25. So that's the 25 different addresses that the transactions were traced to. The summons were airdropped to them. So I just put some links here just for us to take a look at. So like this one now, let me see if I can open. So this is the LCX hack update. Like I said, it's $8 million in January. We can see that now approximately 60% of the stolen funds have been frozen. We can see that investigations have been ongoing with law enforcement in Liechtenstein, Ireland, Spain, and the USA. So there's been a lot of tracking, a lot of auditing, a lot of forensics that has gone into this entire process. And we can see that for the first time in history, it's important for legal and crypto industry as a whole that the restraining orders were served, the service of summons, all the documents, here were served as NFTs and airdropped to the particular addresses. So I wanted us to also quickly take a look at the processes so that we have an idea of what happened. The lawyers in this case were Holland and Knight, which is H and K, and all the documents were actually uploaded to a particular website, and that website houses all the processes in there to ensure that, let me see why this is moving, to ensure that they could have access to it. So this is the LCX AG John Doe. These are all the processes. We can see here, there's an order to show cause and temporary restraining order. The dates are also highlighted on the website as well. The complaint is there. Request for judicial intervention addendum is here. The summons is here. We can just click on the summons. We can see the summons is here. So everything has been basically uploaded to this website, and everything that is here, the link for all the documents were actually airdropped, including all this. You can see all the exhibits. You can see there's an affidavit as well, memorandum of law in support of plaintiff.
Sorry, we can't see. You are still sharing the old screen.
Oh, right. Wow. Okay, let me see. 1 second. That's here. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, now we can see.
Okay. All right. So this was the first one that I showed. This is the hack update where it shows that approximately 60% of the funds have been frozen. The investigation and forensics that is going on the case. General summary of what happened, the tracing of the stolen funds, the addresses and all of that, everything is here and everything has been airdropped to the addresses. And here we can see Holland and Knight. Those are the solicitors, the lawyers in this case. We can see that all the links to everything is here. So I clicked on the summons previously and I showed us what the summons looks like. Also on here, let's see, the affidavit of, yeah. So we can see this is the affidavit of Monty. So you can actually go there and read everything, the summons, the exhibits, everything has a link, even the complaint is here. All the exhibits, all the summons, all the affidavits, anything that they wanted to see. Holland and Knight has it uploaded to this link, and this link, including the documents and copies, have all been, airdropped to each of the wallet addresses of as NFTs. They were airdropped as NFTs. So we can see that this is generally a case of the legal development in adapting to the new trend of blockchain, crypto, metaverse, and all of these Web3 emerging tech generally. And we can see I put here the words that they use to describe the process that is actually groundbreaking and is a novel legal method of service. So when we are talking of legal landscape adaptation, these are the kind of things that we're looking at. That traditional laws, we can actually still base our work on traditional laws. We need to adapt some of the laws definitely and change them. But while we are waiting for regulators to come on board with all of the new regulations that need to be in place, we can actually use traditional laws to be innovative in the legal space. So when we are talking of developing this space, especially legal frameworks, these are the kind of examples that I like to show. And these are older individuals in the legal space that are willing and able to be innovative in this space and think of new ways. So I just wanted us to take a look at that prior to going into your presentation. I think I'll just stop here because of time so that you can take your presentation as well. And we can have further questions on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Boki, we'll be going straight to our mentee's presentation. I hope the presenter is ready. You are supposed to share your screen and also unmute yourself and start your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to present. Well, my Raymond can help me clear the screen.
You can start your presentation before he shares the screen. Thank you.
Okay, so basically, everything that I would have wanted to just want to add to what our mentor has already told us. I'll be talking on most especially on the legal and commercial developments of blockchain, NFTs, Metaverse. So new technology has helped or aided the local and commercial sector in many ways. Now, when it comes to blockchain technology, with the use of this blockchain technology, data integrity and transparency, accessibility, efficiency, and cost reduction is one of the fundamental improvements of blockchain technology to the legal and commercial sector. When we talk about data integrity and transparency, that prior to this use of blockchain technology, we see that our mode of transmitting record transactions was basically emails, and these emails are prone to counterfeiting or being hacked. Now, with the coming of blockchain technology, it has made it possible for people to enter the transaction into a system which has proven to be immutable, it is secure, and it is transparent. That is, everyone sees what goes on in the system. And also accessibility. And we'll talk about accessibility, meaning that every person who enters a record into this system, let's say commercial and transactions, they are able to access. It's open to both parties. Okay, let's say for example a contract agreement. Now there's a less case of less compliance or misrepresentation or fraud because the both party has access to what goes on in the system. And also commercial transactions reduces the cost. The smart contract is just like every other contract. Then this one it is just between you and the system. It does not have a third party intervening. So when you enter the particular price of particular good you want to buy, all you have to do is put the money, and then the good will be sent to you. Will be released to you. For example, a cola to be released to you immediately. So it has reduced cost, has proved to be very efficient. All right. So going further to the legal and commercial development of NFTs, we'll see that this NFTs, just like every new technology, has posed or has raised issues that are of legal concern. Uh, we have and many countries are still tuning into the idea of NFTs, because not many countries have yet to understand the mechanism of NFTs. So we see only a few countries such as USA or UK, China, have set out laws that could be applied any dispute that arise as it concerns NFT. Now, some of these issues we have already included the issue of jurisdiction and the issue of intellectual property rights. Now, I'm going to be illustrating this issues with certain cases, like the case of their lawyer versus the case of their lawyer versus persons unknown and others. In that particular case, now issue like where we're in an instance with issue that particular issue of their lawyer versus persons unknown, we'll see that court processes was served where the person was the applicant or the plaintiff claimed that the account he opened was a fraudulent account, like, so he was induced to open it by person unknown, and then he kept on sending tokens, USDT tokens, Tether, and USD coins to that particular account. And he found out that it was fraud. So when he went for the court just deciding over the case, opined that the best way to serve this court process on the persons involved were to transfer this court processes like an NFC, digitally transferred as an airdrop into this wallet, so that persons who are behind this can also see it. Now, have issue of intellectual property. Now, there are issues as which laws apply to this particular NFT dispute resolution, which law is supposed to apply to it. And in the case of Hermes International versus Rothschild, the Hermes had an asset, asset. It was a company that was producing metal Birkin's handbags. Noted that the customers reported that there was a digital equivalent for on the NFT platform, which had a metal bag that was in resemblance that of Hermes International. So, and Hermes now sued, and the court heard that it can be actionable under the US Landmark Act, which is for trademark infringement, trademark violation, and cyber squatting. So it actually can be brought under trademark infringement. Also, in the case of, we also have issues like cyber security, and in this particular case of Nathaniel Cheston, he altered the data that was supposed to be for the public, released to the public at a later date, but because he already has an insider knowledge on what particular NFT is supposed to feature on the auction, so he was able to use that particular knowledge he had to buy this NFT prior to the release, and then sold it and made profit for himself. So he was charged, and he was charged for money laundering. So these are some of the issues that these NFTs brought out that are of legal concern. We also have the issue of whether these NFTs can be classified as properties or properties just like crypto currencies. So it's established in this Osborne versus Persons unknown that since you can bring up cases relating to cryptocurrency fraud as regards to property, then same should apply to NFTs. So we see that these are some of the legal these are some of the issues that have raised legal concerns and has well developed the commercial and the legal sector. So when we go to the commercial development of this NFTs, that NFC has helped a lot people to their brand, that helped to create unique virtual objects that can be bought and sold. For example, when Nick created unique crypto kicks in 2022, we were able to add a digital design to their goods. So people will go on NFC platform and purchase this particular version of their unique shoes, just like they do for the physical ones. Now, it also helps to build a brand because people would want to know, people will want to patronize you when they know that they can get the physical asset of this physical good and also get a digital one which they can sell and make money. And this money comes in real-time currency. Into the object virtual comes in real-time currency. That's like you can convert it to real-time currency. So that's one of the commercial developments of this NFT. Also have collectibles and reward. You can be able to get a digital equivalent of toys, models, and a whole lot of things that can come under collectibles and rewards, be able to enhance your business. So it really helps out also because if you're able to make a lot of money from the physical asset, you could likewise make money from digital equivalent. So going further to legal development of to So going further to the next development of Metaverse, we have issue of data privacy and security, IP brand and protection. So as it relates to Metaverse, certain So as it relates to Metaverse, the Metaverse needs a stronger security framework. But, when people transact in digital environment from transfer from one port to another, you tend to see that the data may be breached, the data may be breached. So Metaverse needs a more stable security framework, and this will be achieved by testing existing laws, small laws which can be applied as it concerns virtual goods in the metaverse, small laws that can be applied, and also to be able to put stringent or regulation in applying this particular laws that are applicable to virtual goods in the metaverse. Also, we have the issue of intellectual property and brand Metaverse raises who really is the creator or who really is the intellectual property rights owner in the metaverse, because some of the virtual things that upload that is in the virtual world could be owned by people. The collaborative work of so many people maybe, and you do not know the people behind it because they are normally anonymized on them as avatars. It's very difficult for people to ascertain who owns this particular intellectual particular virtual in the metaverse world. Also, we have chat. Now, metaverse has issues as to what happens when chat is on virtual. which jurisdiction is supposed to receive the revenue from this virtual, and then it tends to affect businesses because each okay, your business profit will be as it's according to how that particular jurisdiction has decided to maybe start, and it will vary from places. So we'll find that have the concept of metaverse, and this is quite a lot because metaverse has increased what people can now work from their home remote, that introduced the remote work culture. This is what most people when people work from their home because of the coronavirus pandemic. So metaverse creates an environment for people to work from home and also employ from anywhere around the world to work at a particular place. Also, we have people can actually have immersive shopping experience, provide having their avatars, check out how furniture is going to fit in their house without buying. So it gives people, it gives businesses an avenue to be able to particularly the comfort of their home. Then they get to put it when they are comfortable with the look of the neighborhood. Also, there's created a new strategy for customer involvement. Now, when customers know that they can get value at them very little or no stress, they tend to get involved what happens and making transactions metaverse. So, like monetizing services, now you can get digital equivalent of your physical assets, and make return of money from by putting it in the net platform in virtual environment for it to sell. So this is just a contribution to what said by our mentor, because he had stressed on others. So this work is blockchain, NFTs, and metaverse group. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Cynthia Ibo, for that wonderful presentation on behalf of the group. I think you guys did a very good job. We leave it to our mentor to also comment on that presentation and make any corrections, and also take our questions for today. I sent you the question in the chat book. Please, if you are still on the question, you can start talking now.
Line is not clear. What did you say last?
I said you should, if you can hear me well, I said you should comment on the presentation and also answer our question.
Okay, so the presentation, thank you so much for the presentation. The presentation was really good. I like the fact that you went to the practical aspect to try and discuss cases, current cases that either have been declared in court or are currently ongoing, which is really good because that helps us understand the concepts more for legal development. Then for the questions for mentor. Number one, what's the implication of blockchain technology in the area of defense? I think that for many of the different use cases for blockchain. We know that blockchain is great for track record. So for defense, able to track record exceptionally well. It's also immutable. So the information that goes on there is not really changeable. You can't just go in there and manipulate the information that has been recorded. So that's very important for defense. When thinking of defense, I think also of manufacturing. I know that when weapons and all these things are actually created, there's a tracking problem, there's a logistics problem as well. So it probably will most likely help with tracking weapons, tracking all the manufactured products for defense use, and then also for the logistics as well. You won't be able to mix the manufacturers, you won't be able to mix the suppliers. You'd need to ensure that, and you can also verifiable. So you are able to verify information, security as well. Last week, I believe I mentioned the importance of digital identities. So creating identities, ensuring that those that work for defense are who they say they are. Those digital identities will be very important to identify different individuals that work, either vendors, outsourced persons, or direct employees of defense. I think they'll be able to do a better job with digital identities as well. Those are some of the things that I can think of. I'm sure there's so many use cases. People are innovating every day. Things are changing every day and developing every day within the space. So I'm sure there'll be much more, to come. And I can only hope that African countries, especially Nigeria, will, make use of some of these use cases that we find in blockchain technology. For the second question, which laws apply to data protection and privacy in Nigeria? Well, first of all, would be GDPR, that because many EU citizens live around the world and actually is the most robust data protection and privacy law. So that's very relevant. So anyone that is playing in the data protection space would need to, have that under lock and key, at least have a good idea of GDPR. Then also we have NDPR, which is Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. So NDPR is very important as well for any data protection. They have the implementation framework as well. So we need to look at the implementation framework along with the NDPR itself. Also, we always have to come across US laws as well. So CCPA and the Chinese data protection laws as well are also very applicable in this sense. Which other laws apply to privacy law? So depending on the jurisdiction as well and the specific industry, some other laws will come into play as well. For instance, let's say you are dealing with insurance or you are dealing with blockchain. Blockchain laws will come into play and how the data or personal data of information of data subjects or sensitive information is handled. If it's a medical situation or a medical project, the health laws also will have a certain play in that space as well. So it depends on the industry as well. You need to look at everything holistically. That's why I always tell people that on projects that depending on the industry, you now begin to build your legal framework because it's going to encompass a couple of different laws and the jurisdiction as well plays. So you need to outline every single regulation that has to apply to that particular project. I think that's the most effective way of doing it now, especially when we have all these emerging technologies and there are gray areas. So that's my advice anyway for how to go about it.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. Quickly before
Those are just the questions there.
Okay. Your mic was muted, so I thought you were done. I don't know if you're not done, you can continue, please.
No, I'm done. I think those are the only two questions. Thank you.
Yes. I don't know if anyone also have any question. You can raise your hand and I'll call on you to ask your question before we take the pictures. And we can start putting up our cameras for the picture time. We quickly take a screenshot of our beautiful and handsome faces for the social media post. Thank you very much. Okay, you can smile for the camera. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I've taken some screenshots. So I don't know if anyone has any question you can ask. Our mentor is on the call. And also I'll also recognize the presence of Mr. Joseph Obo, the co-founder of JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program. Ms. Juliana cannot join us today. She sends her warm regards. So Mr. Joe, I don't know if you have any words to tell our mentee, any word of advice for our mentees. Mr. Joseph, can you hear me, please? You are still on the call. Mr. Joseph, you are muted. I know you've been talking and talking. Sorry.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. You asked me for a vote of thanks, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I want to say today for me, anytime I join the session, it's always a learning curve. Much of what I know about NFTs, Metaverse, and is really from the JIIPCC Mentorship Program. So I'm also building my capacity a great deal. And I want to say a very, very big thank you to our mentor. Buki, thank you so much. You're really adding a whole lot of value to what JIIPCC is trying to actually achieve. And this wouldn't have been possible in any way without your input. So I really appreciate you personally and on behalf of JC from the depth of our hearts. To our mentees, thank you for the presentation today. I also learned so much. I want to really appreciate the mentees for taking out time to get the research done and everything that you are doing to ensure that we can actually meet up with time. Despite all the work that Mr. Hussein is giving you guys from the back end. Thank you all the same. Mr. Hussein, thanks a lot as well. I'm sure that with what we've learned, there's still more room for research. We're not out of the woods yet. So if this is a space that you want to claim, you have to keep updating yourself with the available knowledge that is actually out there. So thank you, everyone. God bless you guys. I wish everyone a very wonderful afternoon and week ahead.
All right, we've come to the end of today's program. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you very much, Ms. Buki Ogusaki. See you in the next class. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, Lord, man. We're very grateful.